It's not personal, son. It's strictly business.
Alright, so this is kind of like one of my first attempts at building a perfect storage room, which didn't work super well, as I found a ton of flaws with this machine, but I think for a small version like this, I think it's pretty cool, so I just want to show you guys. Alright, so this is kind of what it looks like from the exterior part, and as you can see, there is kind of like a wall of chests. Of course there's chests missing, but basically what these chests are going to be a huge menu for you to choose from all your items. So as you can see, this is kind of what it would look like for you. You would have a crap ton of items like this, and then all you would do is just press Q, and then they would fall into these hoppers right here, and that is how you would choose your items. But imagine you had like a ton of chests all having their own kind of sections. Yeah, so you could have like this whole chest just for oak, for example. So you could have planks, you could have the stairs, you could have the fences, you can have all the variants of normal oak, or you can kind of do something like this where I have kind of like all the wood in planks and in stripped form. So you could do something like that, and you can basically have a huge row of this stuff. And I just have a chest over here for redstone, and this is just to make sure that the machine can actually reach all the way down here. And this is kind of the first part of the machine, is basically organizing your items when you throw them, correct? Like, because you don't want to have like a stack in here, because eventually you'll run out. So what's actually happening is that when I throw an item down here, it's gonna find the item in this huge row of item filters. So as you can see, here is the item filter, and then basically it will choose that item. So I'm gonna quickly show you guys. So basically you throw down an oak, this oak would be stored into this dropper, and then now I choose how many items I want. So I can go 16 to 32 all the way to 256. The only thing is that I figured for some reason it is always like 2 above or 2 low. I think it's always 2 above usually. So for example, if I choose 16, I'm gonna get 18. I don't know. And that's mostly because I have 2 droppers here. So this is where the items are actually stored, and this is to make quicker speeds. So basically it will be shooting super fast. So I'm gonna show you kind of what it does. So I choose 16. This item's gonna shoot out. It's going to detect right here. So basically this is an item filter. Now it rows these items, and then now it's going to shoot out 16 pulses, or 8 pulses. There it is. Or not 18 pulses. Yeah, it's going to send out a signal that lasts for 18 pulses long. And then here we go. Now we have our oak. And that's basically how it works. And then now eventually our item is going to be sorted back into the system. Let's see if we can see it happen here. That little ticking right there was just it resetting. And then now there is our item. There's our oak item. And then this whole thing will turn off once it realizes that there are no more items filtering through it. But usually what would happen is that oak would actually go up and down, all these rows, trying to find a spot for itself in the chest. So basically that's how it works. You throw an item, the item is in this dropper until you choose how many items you want. Then it goes down this huge row of item filters. And once it gets detected from an item filter, it will raise this basically huge row of blocks right here. So this is kind of how it shows. So if this one was detected, then it would raise this block, but like maybe there's a random one. What's this one? This one is stripped oaked wood, so it would bring up this one. And that is basically how it would work. And then once we click this button, there is going to be a pulse, I guess, a pulse of extending this piston, which is going to extend this observer to that corresponding. So basically these are all timers, and these stay on long enough for an observer clock to shoot out the correct amount of items. So yeah, that's kind of how it works. So here is the menu system actually in a smaller form. It's pretty small compared to all the other versions that I have built of this menu system. So as you can see, if we how do I start this machine again so we can see it working? Let me throw an item in here, and then it will just start going, I believe. Yeah, that's the reset system, and this is kind of how it chooses column. So there's the orange concrete. switches down, and it basically keeps going, and it's gonna try to find a chest. So there's no chests, and then once there is nothing, then this will pick it up, send it back up, and then it will go to the next row, which is this one. And then now it's just gonna go through all of these trying to find a chest. But of course we only have a chest all the way down here. But for example, if we put a chest right here, let's put it randomly, that orange block will come here. So yeah, you should see it. There it is. And that's why we kind of have to have a ton of we have to have every single item in these chests filled with something. So I just chose iron bars to put a filler, and then that way it will go into the correct chest. Because if we just have an empty chest or an empty slot, then all the items will always go to that slot, which is kind of annoying. So another cool thing about this machine is that it has multi-item retrieval. So basically I can choose multiple items to retrieve to get basically from this machine, which is pretty cool. So basically what I can do is that I can go into this menu right here, and I can choose about like 5 to 9 items. I haven't tested it too much with 9 items because it doesn't seem to work super well, but like 4 items. So there you go. I chose all the log variants, and then the log variants are going to be stored in here, and then I'm going to choose 32, and then basically those items are going to be shot out. And then as you can see, they're going to be, they're like all right here. Perfect. So now it has chosen those items, and then we're going to get a 32 pulse. So those are the pulses right here, and we can see them all coming down, and they will shoot out all right here. Right, so it's 34. I don't know why it's always 2 above. There's probably I think if I mess with the settings, it's either 2 above or 2 below. I probably have to develop a new way of detecting items. But yeah, we get our items, and we get all 4 of them, and then as you can see, all those items have been sorted back into their correct areas. So that is the pretty cool thing about this machine. Now this machine is pretty cool at its current size. So it's pretty big, but it honestly doesn't hold that many items. I mean, just with the items here, in this chest alone, we actually we've like used up this whole wall, and we're starting to add to this one. So it can really get really big. And the big issue with this machine is that as it gets bigger, it's gonna take longer. So speed is gonna become a big issue with this machine, because you have to keep in mind is that every time I throw an item down here, it's gonna have to go along a huge corridor of item filters, and then that's going to be basically become the main issue, is that there's going to be a huge corridor of items. And then also the system has to figure out when to actually start sending a signal to shoot out the items. So what if I choose an item that's all the way at the bottom of the corridor, and then it starts shooting out items? That item is not going to be detected because it hasn't been actually, the block all the way at the end of the corridor hasn't been lifted up. So, and then imagine we get like that pulse that comes through here that pushes this over. It's not going to be detected because just how long it's taking for it to get to the end of the corridor. So that is a big issue with this machine. If I make it any bigger, it's going to become speed is going to become a big issue. So yeah, also I did have it's going to require a huge redesign to basically make it more faster. I was thinking of basically having these corridors in like all around me instead of one huge line, and that's going to make it a lot quicker because they're all going to be within equal distance of me. So items will get to me quicker, which is the main thing that we want to do. But that's going to make it harder for items to, like, items are going to take longer either way. I'm going to have to develop a whole new way of actually for this machine to detect where the items are at. So currently right here we're using this as the detection, right? This item will go up, and that means that stripped acacia log is chosen. So that is going to require a huge redesign. Also, there are a few other things that I actually wanted in this machine. So one of them was auto crafting, which isn't possible currently in Minecraft, sadly. But basically what I wanted is that I wanted it to maybe have a wall, and it will choose And if like basically I would have a wall of chests, or not a wall chest, maybe one chest, and this chest would have things that I craft very often. So for example, like pistons or something like that, or observers. So you would have a chest like this, and then you would just press Q, and then it will bring you all the things that you need to craft that item. So it will bring the cobblestone, the wood, the redstone, and iron, and that is basically what it would do. And you would just have a chest of things that you like to craft, and it would just throw them all on you. So that's kind of an idea I kind of wanted. And then so you would throw that item, and then you would choose how many of that you would want. So if you wanted 256 of that item, then it would bring you a crap ton of cobble, a crap ton of wood, basically bring you a lot of everything to craft that many. And also another thing I wanted it was to have some sort of RAM. So RAM, I don't really know how to explain it. Well, it's basically RAM in computers is basically things that are stored in very fast memory. So basically if the system will figure out the items that I use the most often, and it will actually have some sort of storage above that will throw those items on me quicker. So those items will come to me quicker, the ones that I use the most often. And that's going to be extremely hard to figure out, but I think it would be super cool if I was able to make that happen. Another thing that I wanted it to do was auto smelting, or an auto smelter built into it. So basically what it would do is, like, let's say I wanted 2 stacks of glass, but the system sees that there is no glass in the system, so it will go over to the sand. So it will it will check if there's sand, and if it has sand, then it will automatically smelt it for me and then bring it to me, which is a pretty cool idea that I wanted to do. But first I gotta fix everything. I have to figure out, I'm probably gonna redo this whole system. I'm currently figured out a little system over there. This is gonna need a whole redesign. There's gonna be a lot of redesigning, but you know, it all kind of comes slowly as you figure. As you slowly perfect things, you know, things will get better. So yeah, that's basically this machine. Hopefully in the future I will make it better with just making it faster and adding all of these other things. So yeah, thank you guys all for watching, and I'll see you in another video.